Hello, dear friends. Welcome to ZENPod once again. Gives me delight to welcome Julie Lewis to the studios. Julie is a seasoned speaker, an adventurer, entrepreneur, a resilience consultant, and an author who challenges and changes the way people think, act, and dream. She has 3 decades of experience in leading multinational teams in challenging and unpredictable environments, giving her a leading edge when it comes to adaptive resilience. Julie is an author of the C-suite bestseller TV book Moving Mountains, Discover the Mountain in You. Julie offers customized corporate mastermind retreats and adventures in resilience through signature expeditions, polar expeditions to the Arctic and the Antarctica. Over the last 17 years, she has led multinational teams of women and men on 61 expeditions to over 20 countries, including Nepal, Tibet, Bhutan, Mongolia, all the way to Africa, South America, Iran, Russia, Malaysia, Vietnam, India, Borneo, Morocco, and many other. Julie holds a degree in sports science from UK and is a member of the International Positive Psychology Association. She holds prestigious certifications in psychology, resilience, and well-being from reputed universities such as Penn, University of North Carolina, Yale, etc. She also has completed the level 1 and 2 of the Zen leadership training. In addition, she is a certified advanced stress management instructor. Julie is a professional member of the National Speakers Association and a $1 Million Roundtable selected conference speaker. She is the brand ambassador for Land Rover in the Middle East. Julie has been bestowed with MEA and the MENA UAE Business Awards. Please join me in welcoming Julie Lewis to our studios. Hello, dear friends. Welcome to ZENPod once again. I have somebody phenomenal, like they say, as tall as the mountains in the studio today, Julie Lewis. Julie, welcome. And I must tell you this, while we plan for a week or a month in advance for our holidays, Julie plans exactly 12 months in advance. And I can tell you this, she's planning to go to the Antarctica in December of 2022 in the Christmas New Year Eve, right?
That's
Over to you, Julie. Yeah. Welcome.
Thank you so much. And I'm absolutely delighted that we finally get to connect. And just the word ZENPod, Zen is, a beautifully simplicity of life. And I really resonate with that. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Julie, how do you view and define spirituality in your realm of things?
Yeah, I think now more than ever, spirituality is a very essential, critical dimension of our lives, basically. And for me, it's linked into relationships. That's relationship with yourself, with others, and of course, for me, with nature, it could be with your clients or the environment that you live in. It's also very much about our values, what's important, our core values. These are like our inner GPS, they're the driving force of all our decisions. And then very much about your purpose or passion, your joie de vivre, your raison d'être, like why do you get up in the morning? So for me, it's that relationships, the values and passion. And then also just that sense or feeling that there's something, a higher force in you, whether that's nature, God, or religious, or, whatever it is. And when you look at the word spirit, inspiratus, to breathe life into something, inspire, I think it's an essential element. And I think over the last couple of years in particular, that spiritual resilience about what's important, the relationships that I have with myself and others and the environment that I'm in, and I value what's really, really important to me. So that's kind of my definition of spirituality. It's not about eating broccoli and doing yoga and meditation. That is also part of that. But and it's obviously, for me, it's not to be kind of intermingled with religion. I think they're two separate things, that they're both essential elements. But for me, spirituality is absolutely essential. It's a daily commitment to ourselves, I think, really, what fuels that spirit.
Yeah. No, it's beautiful you say this, because, and thank God, whoever I've spoken to, some of the previous guests who are, as accomplished as you are, none of them have confused spirituality with religion. Clearly, they believe, a lot of them, like you, believe it to be a way of life. They find solace in it. Nature, of course, she's the mother of all of us. So she, and you live very close to it, Julie. You do. Personally, you do, I know. So it's awesome. So we will talk more about that journey. Evolution of Julie Lewis. Would you please share with the listeners?
Yeah, do you know, it's so funny when I looked at this question and I kind of looked through some of my journals that I've kept, or even pictures of myself in my 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, each of the decades of my life. And I think, wow, you know, all the experiences that I've gathered along the way, whether they've been really, wow, fantastic experiences, not so good experiences, or real, you know, heartbreaking, big wake up call experiences. And I think each one of those, whether they've been good or not so good, have been part of my kind of spiritual awakening, made me question life a little bit more. What did I learn about that? What would I do differently? If my young niece asked me a question about that, how would I answer? So really coming from a kind of sports science degree background, being in the health and fitness industry, to then climbing that first mountain to give myself a higher perspective, and then, you know, that taking me on a different career direction. I think it's a constant, never-ending journey of unfolding. And, you know, as I approach, you know, my 60 stage next April, it's just very, very interesting for everyone, I think, to just look back on that journey and then decide, well, where do I go from here? You know, what's the next chapter of Julie Lewis, the evolution, really? And stronger, wiser, bolder are words that come into my mind right now.
Awesome. You know, and you spoke about you reaching a landmark next year, and I know you planned a lot of things. Outdoors, Julie, what do they mean to you, and specifically the mountains?
Yeah, do you know, the outdoor for me, it's my food and oxygen. Whenever my energy is low, I think I've been spending too much time indoors looking at a screen. So I need to get out, and that's my, you know, my energy boost, basically. And the mountain, very, very much, you know, when I, in my 30s, I had a personal tragedy. My husband of 7 years collapsed with a heart aneurysm. He was a professional squash player, and that was huge. You know, I was 36, he was 41, totally unexpected. And, you know, I did what, you know, people advise, not make any big changes, stayed in my job, stayed grounded. And then one morning I was brushing my teeth thinking, I think I need to go to the mountains. And why that? It was just like some message from, you know, it was a bit of a shoulder soul tap. And so I went to Malaysia and I climbed a mountain to celebrate my 40th birthday, to mark that. And it just gave me that higher perspective, you know, and I think of the qualities of a mountain, the qualities that I wanted to really build and boost in myself. And that's strength, resilience, spirituality, you know, weathering the storms, full of potential. And, you know, for me, mountains are very majestic, and, you know, they do stand their ground. You know, the storms come and they stand there and they weather the storms, and then they know they pass. So it was a kind of very, you know, a great metaphor for where I was. I wanted to rise above the, you know, the current situation and get a higher, fresh perspective. And when I did, you know, it was like somebody just pulled the cork, and it was just like, oh, I can breathe again. Wow. You know, I'm alive. Wow. You know, I need to make the best, you know, every breath I take, every heartbeat, I need to make this count now. And how could I honor that, you know, and encourage others to know that, you know, when people do transcend or, you know, go to the spirit world, it's very, very sad, and there's cognitive reframes that you can do and everything. But, you know, the important thing is then reconnecting to what's important to you. And it was the mountain for me. You know, for others, it's going to an ashram or going to the ocean or going on a long, long walk, you know, the Camino de Santiago. You know, what I always thought was, and I still do, that when something really knocks us off our mountain, it's very much tears, and there could be tears of joy or tears of sadness, a journey. And that could be an inner journey, doing the inner work, or an outer journey, you know, exploring the world. And a journal, you know, I kept a journal. You know, I feel sad, I want to feel happy again. I feel empty, I want to be full. So these contrasts and clarities in life. So it was very, very specific for me. There's no right, wrong, good, bad, or different. It's not a mountain for everybody. But for me, the mountains were calling and I had to answer. So off I went.
Wow. Wow, wow, amazing. While I was doing some research on you, Julie, and I do that with all my guests, I loved one of your quote that kind of stood out and hit me, and it said, "Discover the mountain in you."
Yes.
And that was amazing. Can you please elaborate more for the listeners?
Yes, I am a mountain. You are a mountain. When I think of the mountain, I think of our inner resources, basically, and these strengths and characteristics. When I speak at events or run programs, when I say the word mountain, what does that, what words do you think of? And people think of courage, strength, stability, grounded, and everything. So, it's when we feel challenged and we're out of our normal everyday home, work, home, shopping mall, home, restaurant, out of our normal autopilot mode. And I often say, like, switch off the phone, switch off technology, and tune into your inner mountain, because your inner mountain is your guide. It's your intelligence, it's your intuition, and you have all the answers. And it's only when you're quiet and still, or, get off the digital highway, which I know we're on now and I'm loving it. So there is a mountain within every one of us. And it's only when we're challenged and we have to dig deep to find it, become very, very resourceful. And at the same time, I like water, because water always finds a way.
It does. Yeah. It does. Yeah, awesome. You undertake several treks, big, small, challenging, tough ones. Are there, Julie, any specific qualities or resources that you call on or bring to the fore before you undertake something?
I think this comes back to the concept of spirituality in terms of values, what's important for me. And one of my top values is my health, growth, learning, exploration, adventure, discovery, and MAD, I say, making a difference. So really it's a call of the mountain. It's one of my values to challenge myself physically, mentally, spiritually, emotionally. And really, that's part of the why. Why do we climb mountains? Why do we write a book? Why do we start a business? It's got a strong emotional, like Simon Sinek, start with your why, get really clear. Why is this important to me? Am I doing this for fun? Am I doing this for a charity? Am I doing this for my, status as a mountaineer? Am I doing it because I'm taking a group and this is part of my business? So it's really about getting very clear about why you want to do it, what you want to do, where you want to go, and then really committing all your energy into that. What's the best time of the year to go to that mountain or that trek or that country? What resources do I need? Do I need a guide? Do I need to ramp up my game on the fitness? It's just, those are the qualities, that choice, decisions that determine your destiny, Awesome. I hope that's answered that.
Yeah, absolutely. But specifically, and I want to go back and connect to the first question, and you probably are very qualified to answer. Do you believe, Julie, that spirituality in the way you defined it, or a deeper power, drives you to do and achieve what you have so far?
Yes. Yeah, without a doubt. I can say hand on heart that whether it's out of inspiration or desperation or perspiration, all the Asians, that sometimes, and sometimes you can't actually put a word on it. It just comes out of the blue. I usually come up with an idea, and it's usually when I'm walking or swimming, or sometimes when I'm in the shower, and I just think, oh, I'd like to do that. And I thought, well, where did that come from? It defies logic sometimes. Right, and I've had lots of people say that, I want to go and open an orphanage in Africa. I want to start my own business and do X, Y, Z. But, where did that come from? And it's just, that knowing, that inner knowing. So yeah, definitely spirituality, because it's about a relationship with myself, others, and nature. It's about my values and that inner GPS, that driving force behind all my decisions, and then that passion and purpose.
Brilliant. Okay, and you've written a book, Moving Mountains, and I'm not surprised after knowing you. Tell the listeners a little bit about the book and where can they buy the book.
Sure. Well, I definitely know it's still available on Amazon and Kindle across the board. And for people that are in Dubai, in the UAE, it's at Magrudy's, W.H. Smith. It's widely available, even though it was published back in 2016. It's one of those timeless books, actually. And it's very much a collection of what I would say soulful stories, insights, ideas and calls to action to really help people if they're feeling a little bit stuck and they really can't see the mountain in themselves, and they need to find it. So it talks about values, about clarity, about confidence, about how you build courage and what brings you joy and resilience, and about self-remembering, really. When people say, oh, it's a self-development book, and I say it's actually self-remembering, because we know ourselves better than everybody else, and sometimes all these gifts are being pushed down, and then all of a sudden when we give ourselves time and space, what's important, what's not important, what are my values, what's important to me, what brings me joy. When I ask people, when I do talk, tell me 3 things that bring you joy. Some people can go straight away. My kids, my work, my dog, swimming in the ocean. And some people think, and I think, oh my gosh, am I on a different planet? Because, I think micro moments of joy across the day are so important, whether that's just sipping on my nice green tea, soaking in a bath, lighting a candle, having a giggle with one of my colleagues. These are small things, but when they're done consistently, that really kind of keeps your energy levels high. And, for me, what brings you joy gives you energy, that's for sure. So the book really is all about that. It's a little bit about my story, but it has around 50 stories of my clients who climbed real or metaphorical mountains, whether it's been, a business, a relationship, a career, or decisions that they've had to make, where, they've really had to think, what do I need right now? That's a very, very big, powerful question that's in the book. What do I need right now? And I've been asking myself that a lot, especially over these 2 years. And also my clients, what do you need right now? Do you need a good laugh? Do you need, do you need more resilience training? Do you need to just run around in the park and let your hair down and dance? And, what do you need? And then gift yourself. And that's a great question to ask your partner, your kids, your clients, so that you can actually be of service to them, without assuming what they need. Yeah.
And just to hold you on to this question, what do you need now? And that's a great question, right? And we do ask ourselves this question, Julie, but the answer is something else. It's more often than not, the answer is not where I am. The answer is I ought to be somewhere else. And we don't pursue it. So what would you suggest?
There's 2 P's that really are the enemies of success and resilience, and that's procrastination and perfectionism. And it's, oh, I'll do that someday. And I thought, someday, that's not a day in the week. There's Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And then somehow we've invented this someday or one day. And, I think it's very much like fortune favors the bold, really. And there's a lovely lady that I follow in the kind of personal development world. Her name's Mel Robbins, and she has a 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 thing. So she said, if you decide you're going to do something, within the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, take some action that will move you towards that. So for myself, I have something called the power of 3, and it's like 3 things I can do that will move me towards my goal. Do I need to make a phone call, do a bit of research, ask, find somebody that's already done what I want to do? So it's really, it doesn't have to be big, massive steps. It could be small steps taken daily that will move you in the right direction. So even baby steps. And if they're not in the right direction, you just know you can do a U-turn, take a sharp left or a right. It's the power of the start. We've got knowledge, and if we choose not to use that knowledge, then it's I think it's very selfish. Taking action on our goal is really, really important. Yeah.
Brilliant. And I also feel sometimes it's the discomfort or the fear of the unknown that we choose to hang around, right?
Yes, it's fear of criticism, fear of failure, fear of being laughed at. I think there's many fears, and that's that kind of false evidence appearing real, or face everything and rise. And it's like anything else. The first time you do anything, the first time you start walking, you fall down. When you think crawl, walk, run, you fall down. And our parents saying, come on, get back up. They don't say, oh, forget it, you've fallen down 10 times. You obviously can't do that. Otherwise, where is that resilience that we had as a young child to keep on keeping on, to know when to take a break, to ask for help, as well, which is a big one. Yeah.
Beautiful. You've done some exhilarating things, exciting things. I myself, before I framed this question, I wrote down and I said, there are too many of them. But then I said, okay, what, Julie, really has been your biggest moment?
Biggest moment. And again, I think, Venki, it's really in what context, it could be in business, in life, in relationships and everything. Certainly from being physically challenged on a mountain when there was a storm and literally having to turn around very, very quickly and nearly being blown off the mountain. That's the closest I think I felt to, not being here anymore. And I was just like, oh no, I've still got so much to say and do. I can't go now. And that, right, focus. And obviously attempting to swim the English Channel, that was pretty epic. And then you come to things like, training and leading a team of breast cancer survivors to Antarctica and creating a film and a book. For me, that joy and the reward of working with a team of women who've already gone through a major health challenge that are willing to say yes to the adventure of life and say, look, this is not a death sentence. Yes, I will come, so that trust. I think probably on a personal basis, it's very much, loss of loved ones. My 36 when I first lost my first husband. I'm not collecting husbands, by the way. And then, Kaylin, I married 9 years after my first husband. I remarried 9 years after my first husband passed to Kaylin. And we've been married 13 years now. And 3 years ago, he went through a major health challenge of stage 4 brain cancer, really, given 6 months.
I'm so sorry.
So he became my project then, really. And I would say that the last 3 years with, Kaylin's health challenge, my father passing, my mum passing, COVID. And people say, how, when COVID came on, said, how are you dealing with this? I said, well, when I've dealt with some of the other things, then this is small compared to losing a parent or your husband's going to make it through the night. So this is when our spiritual resilience, our mental, emotional is super important. So I've had some big moments. I've spoken on the stage at the $1 Million Roundtable Conference in Los Angeles, and my background is not finance at all, but, I talked about resilience, and most speakers dream of being on the MDRT thing. It takes a while, and I kept applying. And then finally I got that call. It's like, yes! And, thankfully my father was still alive, when I published my book and I was on that stage. And, from a builder's daughter from Yorkshire, I just, I've made, we all want to make our parents proud. We want to think that, they gave us this gift of life, and our way of saying thank you is doing them proud.
Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Water, Julie, you say has all the answers. Why do you say that?
Water is one of the only elements that can exist in 3 forms. So it's very, very clever, very smart. It's a liquid, it's gas, and it's ice, it's solid, and it can shape shift between those. So it can depend on which environment it can freeze, or it can boil, or it can evaporate into thin air. And it's an element that's very soft, but it's strong. Water has the power to give life, and it also has the power to destroy life. So it's very, if the mountain is the yang, the water is the yin, but it's also quite strong. What I like about the elements, well, wherever there's water, there's life. No water, no life. We can go without food for, 30 days. We can go without water for, 3 days or something. And then obviously air, we can go for a very short period of time. So these things that we take for granted, water and the air that we breathe, we won't exist without them. So for me, water always finds a way. It's very resilient, and it's the elixir of life, and it's that intuitive, emotive, flow. So there's a lovely expression, or quote, I should say, by Lao Tzu: stand like mountain, flow like water. And this is from thousands of years ago. And I think it's so applicable today that, yes, there are times when we need to stand our ground and stand like a mountain. And then there's times when we just say, oh, I let go, I give this one to the universe. And then we become this river of resilience, responding to what's going on underneath, what's ahead of us, winding our way, very dynamically. So I talk about rivers of resilience when I do talks for companies. Do you need to be a mountain, or do you need to be a river, or do you need to be a lake right now, calm and observing and reflective? So there's a lot of natural metaphors with business and nature.
Brilliant. If Julie were not into outdoor sport, what would you be doing?
Oh my gosh. I think I'd be a podcast man. No, I've often thought I would love to be like a TV presenter, like interviewing people and finding questions, And I think I'm also a bit of a closet dancer. I like moving my body. So, I think a dancer, TV presenter, a health coach, a brand ambassador, I'd really love to be a spokeswoman for, a campaign that I'm absolutely passionate, whether that's the environment, children's education, something like that, really. So I think, maybe that's going to be in my next decade.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Awesome. We spoke about your biggest moment and you said so many things. So, Julian, I don't want to give you the answer, but would your toughest or biggest challenge would have been losing your mom very recently? And I'm sorry about that, but...
Yeah, I think there's something about losing a parent that with all the education and tools and professional certifications on emotional intelligence, resilience, and positive psychology, I've climbed mountains, I've averted disasters. I know all this stuff. So what is the big deal? The big deal is that this woman carried me for 9 months, gave birth to me, was created out of love from my parents that were together for 71 years.
Oh, Lord bless them. Wow.
I know. And I was, what was very special about that time period was that I was able to spend 5.5 weeks with her as she kind of started her transition process. And that was because I'd actually taken a flight to Greece in the summer, thinking to avoid the 10-day hotel quarantine thing, that I'm already halfway home. And then literally within a few days of being there, I contacted my sisters because I Skype with them every 2-3 days. And they said, Mum's not doing too well. I actually said on a scale of 1 to 10, where 10, she's about to transition, where is she? And they said 7. I said, I am coming tomorrow. And literally PCR test, boom. And I called Kaylin because she was in Saudi. I said, I'm staying here now until the inevitable happens. My mum was 96. She was just about a week short of being 97. So again, yes, a full and fulfilling life. But boy, it's when the mothership goes down. It's like, whoa.
Yeah, that's true. It is true.
Yeah.
And that's true. They leave a void. And I actually lost both my parents, unfortunately, very young. They do leave a void that, I'm telling you this, doesn't get filled at all.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, doesn't get filled.
And I think, what I do now, I have a picture of her. I light a candle for her. I have conversations with her. Whenever I see butterflies, then I know that's Mum, because the day after she passed, in the garden back at home, there were so many butterflies.
Beautiful.
Oh, and butterflies are all about transformation.
Correct.
And as you go on to that next journey,
right.
So whenever, and she's, she had vascular dementia, Venki, and some people get kind of very aggressive like that. And she had that for about 10 years, and she would weave in and out of, like, she was sharp, and then she would what you had for breakfast, she wouldn't know, but she was very, very, very resilient. She told, even in the last 2-3 weeks of her life, let me get up. It was just,
wow.
I don't know. She was one of 10 siblings. And I think, she was born in 1924. And when somebody's gone through, that time period, and the Second World War and the depressions, and they didn't have any of the resources that we have, that makes you a real cookie. So she was one heck of a woman. So for me to live out, their legacy of my parents would be my greatest. The next book will be in dedication to my mom, for sure.
She'd be so proud hearing you say this about her. For
I
sure.
know, Dorothy.
Yeah, really, so wonderful, so wonderful. And you mentioned a very key word in your message about mom. You said resilience.
Yes.
Julie, you run a few impactful programs on resilience for corporate leaders. One, I want you to share a little more about the program with the listeners, and also if somebody is interested or some organization is, how can they reach out to you and how does it work? So please.
Sure. Many, many years ago, somebody actually said to me, Julie, you're so resilient. And I said, what does that actually mean? Is it good to be resilient? And so I looked at it and I thought, wow, yes, I am. And I thought, can we measure this? Because obviously corporates, it's a soft skill, but it has a strong impact. So
Correct.
I studied with a group of business psychologists in the UK. I studied with Penn University. And basically, what is resilience? Why is it important? How do we develop it? What types of resilience? Physical, mental, spiritual, emotional, financial resilience. That's a big one these days, isn't it? Environmental resilience. And what are some of these elements? So it's the ability, most people say to bounce back. I like to say to bounce forward, because we're not going backwards, we're going forwards. To bounce forward, higher and stronger, to really, be calm and optimistic, to be able to adapt swiftly, to manage our stress and anxiety, to really have an open and flexible mindset instead of we've always done it this way, because things are changing so fast. So I talk about adaptive resilience, because you can't hang on for dear life and say, no, this is how we've always done it. You've got to let go. And that accountability. And the big one really is focusing on solutions. That's huge. We can talk all day about what's going on,
Right.
but the key thing is to say, what are the solutions? This is the situation, and spend the next 10, 15 minutes in a management meeting saying, what are the solutions? You give me three, you give me three, you give me three, and then come up with a solution. So for me, it is a critical skill now, and I think it will continue to be an essential skill, and more organizations are realizing that and say we need to provide resilience training. So I've done 90-minute talks to give taste sessions, half-day programs, full-day programs. I have something called Air Adventures in Resilience, because I believe taking people out of their normal office scenario, and that's kind of more and more possible these days, whether it's sitting in a park in the desert or somewhere a little bit different, to really tap into that innate resilience. And what does it mean? And you can actually measure it. So I have an RQ, a resilient quotient, that gives you those elements and how you are on those. Is it exceptional, developing, established, or non-existent, And the big one in this one is optimism and, this positivity. There's a lovely quote from the Best Exotic Marigold Hotel, and I quote this often: everything will be all right in the end, and if it's not all right, it's not the end. That long-term vision. And it's just, to me, that is, I get goosey. It's the ultimate optimistic quote. It's not all right now, but it's not the end. It's not having the rose-colored spectacles, burying your head in the sand, saying everything's hunky-dory when it's not. It's actually saying, look, I know things are challenging right now, and saying this to your team, and this is what we can do, and just doing our best every day towards a goal, and I think resilience, it's a superpower. Let's just say that. It's a superpower. Yeah.
Awesome. You talk to corporate leaders, you mix with them, you engage with them. Julie, and we've all been through trying times in the last year and a half.
Yeah.
Maybe we are better off in this region, but some of the developing countries are really having it tough. What would your message be to these corporate leaders?
I think it's been very much about energy management, really, about how you're managing your personal energy, for how you're thinking, eating, moving, sleeping, really self-awareness, and really being able to get a higher perspective by standing back and stepping out of this wheel, of stress and change. So really taking what I call, that stillness and silence, and very much a Socratic approach to decision making, to engage your team, really. And I think leaders generally, we need to be lifelong learners.
Yeah,
I think that's
absolutely.
important. So know thyself, as Socrates would say, know thyself. What are my strengths? What are my areas of development? But also that social intelligence of looking at your team, looking at your clients, and knowing that we're all been in this storm together, but some of us have experienced it very, very differently. So how can we support others and be aware of that and give them the tools, the support, so that they can continue to perform and be creative and not shrink, to actually open up. And, some of the words I use in my talks, collaboration, connection, compassion,
Right.
courage, curiosity, asking great questions, being a great listener. There's so much, I just think, being a leader incorporates such a broad width. And more so now than ever, it's really being able to step back from a situation, calm and focused, and then come back in with some solutions and some very, very, focused decisions around, what's the next step on our journey as a team. Yeah.
Brilliant. On the same full, if one hears or listens to you for 5 or 10 minutes, one gets down to backpacking and putting on mountaineering shoes and saying, I'm going mountaineering. What is your message, Julie, for aspiring mountaineers?
I think it's this burning reason why, why do you want to go and climb a mountain? What is it about the mountain? What is it about, kayaking across a lake? What is it? And it's really about dreaming about something, imagining what's possible, daring to do that and deciding to do it, making a plan. And finding a guide, somebody that's already been there and done that, and really then training. It's important. It's like anything else in life. The preparation is so important. That means that when you actually go to climb the mountain or whatever challenge you've set yourself, is that you are prepared as far as you possibly can be. I mean, you never know because there's always the unexpected, but then you can actually enjoy it, and I can always tell when I've been training teams that, accountability. I'll say, train three times a week by yourselves, go to the gym or go for a walk, and then together on Saturdays we'll get together. And I can always tell somebody who's not really being quite accountable. And then I'll just have a little conversation. Is there anything I can help you out with? Is there, there's maybe something going off at home or other things. But this is that accountability. If you say you're going to do something, do it. I'm not sure if you're familiar with the 4 agreements, Don Miguel Ruiz. It's be impeccable with your word. So if you say you're going to do something, do it. The second one is don't make assumptions. So for me, that means asking lots of questions. Don't take anything personally, which is huge, for all of us. And the fourth one is always do your best. And of course, his young son, Don Miguel Ruiz Jr., came up with the 5th agreement, which is be skeptical, but listen. So it's a bit like the 7 habits, and then the 8th habit came along. There's always a little bit something else. I'm sure there's going to be another one coming soon. But, I think it's really about having great dreams and being open to possibilities, and, unlocking your highest potential. Yeah. I just watched that Netflix documentary called 14 Peaks.
Oh, my goodness. Outstanding, isn't it? Oh my goodness.
Guy,
is he for real? And I'm like, wow.
I know, just incredible. So, it just takes one decision that can determine your destiny.
Yeah.
To say, I am going to do this. I'm going to put my house on the line, remortgage.
Yes. And he actually did that, right? He didn't get the money, and wow.
Yeah.
I was very impressed. And I'm, I think I have huge respect for his wife too, for supporting him.
Oh,
incredible. So absolutely
and
phenomenal.
His mom, bless his mom.
Oh my goodness, God bless her. Yeah. Oh my goodness. Yeah. You have done so many things, Julie. You've actually done more than what some of us would dream of. You've actually gone and done it. Is there anything you've still not achieved but would like to?
Oh my gosh, so much. And I'm still so young. I'm still so young.
I am ashamed of myself.
I've created this 60 years on the planet project for next year because I think really to celebrate 60 years, but also to give other people an opportunity to what I call rewild, to reconnect to nature, to restore their mental and emotional well-being and to regenerate, i.e. leave a place better than they found it by planting trees, but also leave themselves better than they found themselves at the beginning of the trip, really, because I do think this last year and a half has caused a lot of havoc for people on all different levels. A second book, I thought because I'd written one, it would be really easy. And because of certain things that have been happening, I've not had that flow. And I thought, come on, where's that creative juices again? So the second book will be about water. Things like creating my own system. I've done a lot of studies. So to create a system that incorporates, the physical, mental, spiritual, emotion. So it's an actual process or system that anyone could kind of go through really when they feel stuck. Maybe I'll call it oxygen or something, because we all need to breathe more easily. Road trips, I would love to do a big road trip with Kaylin, have my own TV show.
Awesome. Yeah.
And do a lot more NGO work. A lot of my challenges during when I first started Mountain High, they always had what I called a mad love, making a difference, lots of valuable experiences. That was the mad love. And it was either raising awareness for our health or supporting a community program in the country that we went to. And I think that's very important, whether we plant a tree, clean up a beach, support a children's education project. So that really, to me, is very, very important. That's part of your kind of legacy, isn't it? And inspiring the next generation to do good and be good, really.
Awesome. Brilliant. Julie, I before we actually close, I want to do a rapid fire with you, if you don't mind.
Oh, yes.
Let's go. And I'm sure you have. Okay, so describe the following. The outdoors.
Soul food, oxygen, life.
Wow. Mountains.
Strength, stability, resilience, beauty, majestic, gorgeous.
Water.
Water is life. Yeah, flow.
Yeah, I liked what you said. The elixir, really it is.
Yes, it
is. Wellness.
Gosh, for me, that's the perfect interlocking of the physical, mental, spiritual, emotional, social environment, because we can often keep going to the gym, but if we're eating crap, we're not getting a good night's sleep. We're in an environment that's not good for us. So it's that kind of integrated elements. Yeah.
Okay. And finally, Julie is?
Love and joy in action.
Wow. Fantastic. Julie, it's been so exciting and so invigorating talking to you. I can't tell you, time has just flown off, and
I know, it's amazing.
I can do a season on you, so just a full season. Fantastic. Before we close, is there something you would like to share with the listeners, Julie? And you've had a great life. You've had your own moments of challenges. You've had tragedies, and you've come out of it, and you're shining and smiling, and you're putting out a lot more than what you're getting from the system. So one is, what would you like to share with the listeners? Any message? And also, if somebody wants to reach out to you, is there an email ID or a website that they can? So
sure. The website is simply www.julie-lewis.com. So it's just my name with the hyphen in between. And really, in life, it's universal. We'll have the good times, the not so good times, the heartbreaking times. And I think, for me, if, you look up, you smile and you say, yes, or dance or sing or do something. And I think the lovely Zen proverb actually is move and the way will open. And the other one is be open to everything, attached to nothing. So I think this is that, when you feel stuck, when you feel like battered down, move, whether that's moving your mind, your body, but move and the way will open. And just know that, the sun's going to come up, and while you're breathing and while your heart's still beating, make the most of it. Yeah.
Awesome. Beautiful. Thank you very much, Julie. I wish you a lovely life, great next year, and good luck with all your ventures.
Thank you so much. Thank you very, very much.
Namaste. Thank you so much.
Namaste.